Hello, and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 307, and the winner is recorded on Friday, June 13th, 2024. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Tyler Colt.
And I'm Greg Belnap, and let's get right on into the show.
Let's do it. So another guest feature this week from Greg. Obviously, last week we were all at Zoholics, so we did kind of a funky show. We had me coming in for a segment, you and Brett doing the majority of it, a couple guest features, and Brett's now driving all the way back from Austin. So yeah, thanks for filling in, Greg. Always nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, happy to be here. It was funny as the intro was rolling, I was thinking to myself, oh, is it a little like, does it feel weird that I'm wearing these big over-the-ear headphones? But then I remembered that the logo also has big over-the-ear headphones, so I'm just cosplaying as the CRM logo, the CRM Zen logo. So
there you go. In true Johnny Zenatta style, you are just on brand. All right, so we do have a busy week. So with that, let us jump right on into the news.
Are you struggling to get your team trained in using Zoho effectively? Considering the hefty costs of team meetings and onboarding sessions dedicated to Zoho training, there has to be an easier way. Say hello to efficiency with our Zoho team training courses. Zoho CRM made easy. Become a project management pro, top-tier customer support, and maximize your marketing impact. Are you ready to equip your team? Start today at zenatta.com/training and let us lead the way.
Alrighty, so for the news this week, first story actually comes from Club Zenatta. This is a little community environment that we have spun up over on the website where a bunch of Zoho nerds just congregate and communicate. And John, kind of a regular user here, put out a little PSA about moving to Marketing Automation 2.0. Kind of the short story version here is if you have anything that needs doing, do that first. Don't assume that this will be a quick and easy process to kind of move over to Marketing Automation 2.0. Essentially, what he's saying is he's had some issues with kind of like lists and segments and topics. These are basically like the different groupings of contacts that you have over in Marketing Automation, where the counts are kind of gone a little bit awry. Some of the groupings are a little funky. So actually, in his example, one of the campaigns actually went out to a bunch of people that it shouldn't have. Kind of the big takeaway, though, is just that Zoho's working on the fix, but it's not happening immediately. So he's having issues even sending out corrections and kind of updates. So just a kind of general PSA here. We've been tracking the whole campaigns marketing automation thing for what feels like years at this point, and what probably is years at this point. So just another quick PSA that maybe just hold off a little longer. There's no big rush to do this, especially if you're in campaigns already. Definitely just stay there for the time being. There's really not a huge benefit to move in as of right now. But yeah, big shout out to John. He contributes a lot over on Club Zenatta, and another nice little PSA here. All right. With that, let us jump into the news proper. So first story here is from Zoho Thrive. This is kind of an interesting application. This is for affiliate and loyalty program management. Kind of works on your website and integrates into CRM. Really, this is just kind of a whole redo of the UI. So one of the big things that they've carved up is the difference between affiliate and loyalty programs. In the UI before, this was kind of like in one module with some different groupings and categories, but like these are two totally different things, right? An affiliate is like someone promoting our course for us. A loyalty program is like someone who buys every month, right? Like they're pretty different things at the end of the day. So they've split those up. They've now added tasks to be part of the points program. Points program is basically how you're going to evaluate the affiliates and loyalty members. And then they've added some dedicated views for reviews and testimonials, just so that it's a little easier to actually find those. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see they've kind of split these things up into the two different subsections. And you can even see, just as we look at it, like all of the submenus under them are different, right? So it does make a lot of sense for these to be in different places. There's very little overlap, honestly, as I look at these in terms of like the functionality that you'd use between them. So good move to switch those over. This is an app that we haven't spent a ton of time on. a lot of the times when we're doing an affiliate build out, it's kind of centered around Zoho forms, right? Like somebody's got a unique version of a form, they give that out, and then they get attributed to the lead. But it's probably an application that we should go a little bit deeper on because, affiliate and loyalty are a pretty big part of a lot of people's businesses.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now that I'll admit that I myself, I had a little bit of trouble understanding exactly what Zoho Thrive was for. And I will say that like this update and kind of like showing these distinctions is helping me have a much better understanding of like how you're going to use it. Cause it was weird how like, yes, like you said, everything was kind of all jumbled together. It kind of would have been like, like if you had like customers and vendors in the same list, essentially.
It's like you're just interacting with them completely differently, right? They don't go in the same place. So nice update. An app that we don't use a ton, but I have heard good things. I have a couple clients who talk to like prospects and stuff that are already using it. They're like, hey, it's working great. Don't need to touch it. So nice application. And yeah, this makes a lot of sense to split these into two different subcategories.
Always love a nice out-of-the-box solution.
Yeah, yes, we do. Next update here. So essentially Zoho Desk is adding some additional accessibility controls. Accessibility controls essentially are things referring to users that might have specific needs or requirements. This could be anything from being colorblind, partially blind, things like that just make it where a person might have different challenges in interacting with an application. Accessibility is a big thing. Specifically, in some cases, it's a legal requirement. In other cases, it's an ethical requirement that you just should encourage accessibility. So they've kind of added what looks like to be like a new menu altogether for these, and they've kind of broken it down into a couple different categories. So like vision-based accessibility settings, hearing, mobility, right? This is a big one, right? Like somebody who struggles to like do dexterous things on a keyboard, right? So giving them more shortcuts, giving them more ways to like navigate around a page. Like a big one is like, hey, I'm all good with like keyboard-based shortcuts, but maybe someone struggles to use like a mouse or a trackpad or something like that. So giving them these options just allows more different users to succeed in the application, right? Which is just a big deal. Really expands like the types of success that you can find in your organization with this application.
Yeah, and they've added a couple of new accessibility features that they mentioned down towards the bottom here. So one is this focus ring that just adds more sort of a nice highlight that you can use with your keyboard focus, so that just to help drive your eye and make it easier to see where you're about to interact with. The other one, skip to main content.
So this is like I'm tabbing through, but before, as I'm tabbing through, it's difficult to see exactly where I am. Right? Like when I'm using a mouse, I know it's where the mouse is. But like when I'm tabbing, you had those kind of like light gray backgrounds.
Yeah.
Right. And this is like, big blue box. You're right here, which is
no mistaking where your tab is at. Then they have the skip to main content, which honestly, sometimes I think I might want to just have this one on for myself, where it will skip some of the like preamble stuff. So for the example they give here is that, you go to the tickets module, there's the navigation menu, all the filters, peripheral elements. If skip to main content is turned on, it's always just going to jump straight to just the actual list of tickets.
Got it.
So,
honestly, that's pretty nice. Just reducing the visual clutter, right?
Yeah.
Like, because Desk is a great application, but you open it up and there's like the top bar menu, the left-hand side menu with all the different views and reports. And you've got like so many different columns and fields. It's a lot when you look at it.
And if you're just a standard user, you're just an agent, just wants to log in, get to your list and start in on it, you can turn this on. And then Page Navigator that we just talked about, like the skipping to main content. The Page Navigator can also allow you to quickly jump to any of those main chunks, either the main content, the header, or the left panel that you were mentioning. So,
Got it. Yeah, a lot of these too, this is a cool thing with accessibility features is they're just a win across the board because, their primary goal is to kind of help people out who might have a specific additional need or requirement to interact with an application. But also, they kind of just make life easier for any user, right? Yeah. Like as we look at some of these, it's like I could think of a lot of different people that would say, hey, like you're saying, I want to log in a desk. I just want to see my tickets and start at the top, right? Work my way down. I don't care about all these other lists. I don't ever need to go to the knowledge base. Like that's not my domain. I'm in my tickets. I want to get them closed out. So just being able to like trim down some of that stuff, navigate quicker with keyboard shortcuts. I mean, like, hey, I like doing that myself. So always kind of a win across the board when we see these types of features come out. But this one, honestly, that you're highlighting it, the main content thing, I'd like to see that in more applications. Like, I could think Zoho projects, right? Like how many organizations have a bunch of people in projects who just like, I go to my open tasks and I sort them by due date and I start at the top. I don't need all this other stuff going on. And projects can be deadly with the amount of just stuff on the page. So this would be a nice update to see in more than just Zoho Desk.
Yeah. Or Zoho People. Maybe if that was in Zoho People, we'd actually know how
to understand it a little bit better. All right. Next update here coming from Zoho Inventory. This is kind of their, it looks like almost a quarterly or a 5-month roundup. So I'm not sure, maybe they fell behind on the quarterly cadence. So a couple updates here. Customer portal and vendor domains are changing. So this one we mentioned before. So just from zoho.com to zohosecure.com. This will redirect. I think I had mentioned in the previous show, I wasn't sure if it would redirect. They do. I noticed that after the show in the article. I guess I missed it. So you don't need to actually change anything. They've rebuilt their UPS integration. This is a nice one. I mean, at a larger scale, we won't go down the rabbit hole, but I'd like to see them make a lot of improvements to just the shipping process inside of Zoho Inventory. A lot of the times for clients, if they have like a lot of packages going out the door, they just have to use something else, right? Where it's like inventory is the home base, but we integrate it with ShipStation or we integrate it with Easy Ship, right? Just tools that are like quicker to generate and print labels. India editions getting some additional functionality for e-invoicings. And then this is actually a really cool one. I'd like to see this come to the US because again, global is not US. That is a different edition. But they're now going to support Klarna payments for Stripe. Klarna is one of those like pay over time providers, right? That you probably always see when you buy on websites. Oh, make this 4 payments a month at 0% interest. But if you don't pay them, we're going to backdate 22% interest on the whole thing. But it can be kind of nice, especially in a world where money market accounts are getting 5%. I'm never opposed to payment over time. So this will be supported via Stripe. Because it's in Stripe, I'd have to assume it will come to the US edition before too long. So that will be really nice to see. Alipay will be supported now everywhere except in India. This is primarily going to be used in China and kind of Asian markets, I would assume. But again, the more payment processing tools, the better. Again, it's like one of those things where, yes, you might be a US company. You do a lot of your business in the US. You're using Stripe, using Authorize.net, whatever it may be. But they still sell overseas. And you always want to be able to give someone the option of paying in a way that they're comfortable with. Making it easy to pay means that they will more likely pay it, which is a good thing. So all for that. We've also updated UPI ID options for QR codes. This is really just a way to directly make payments using a particular type of payment ID. Again, pretty niche. This is one of those things where I would imagine that probably a big customer was like, I need this. And Zoho was like, okay, here it is. And so they rolled it out for everybody. Last but not least, actually not last but not least, we've got a lot more on this one. We've got a WhatsApp integration for Zoho Inventory. This would essentially be like sending out reminders for payments, sales transactions, as well as actually directly initiating conversations with customers. Again, we say it every time, the US has not adopted things like WhatsApp quite the same, but many places in the world have. So a really nice one just to be able to say, hey, this is someone who likes WhatsApp. Let's send the reminders there. If you can remind someone in their preferred channel, you might cut that payment cycle by a couple days because they see it quicker. And that's always a good thing. So that.
I imagine that the US hasn't fully embraced things like WhatsApp because of a lot of influence from our Apple overlords who want us to keep using iMessage.
And you'll have your blue bubbles and you'll like it.
Exactly. But yeah, I lived outside of anyone who's lived outside of the US knows that WhatsApp is king everywhere else. Everybody uses WhatsApp.
Yeah. except over in Asia, WeChat. WeChat's the big one out there. But that's like an everything app. That's like PayPal, chat, e-commerce. It's comprehensive what that application does. Next one here, unique quantity codes for items. This is, again, a really specific one. You can now have a quantity code, by the way, is kind of like the unit in essence, right? Mm-hmm. So like, do I sell this by the box, by the centimeter, by the each? That's a really common one, just meaning like one item. So they're now doing a bale. So a bale is essentially a raw material packaged together, and a 10 gross, which is 1,440 items. Okay, I guess someone needs it, so never hurts to have more options here. Most people are probably still going to be using the common ones, but hey, never hurts. Now have some more bulk.
I'm going to be thinking about that. I'm going to be thinking about that 10 gross one for a while. Of why is 10 gross 1,440 items? Just know that that's going to be circling the back of my head. So if you're watching us on YouTube and you see my eyes start to glaze over or just kind of stare into the abyss, that's what's in my head. Is trying to wrap my head around what that means.
Just going to be zoned out, a little bit of drool coming out the side of your mouth as you're trying to rationalize the world that you're seeing. We've now got bulk export options for a couple reports. So bulk basically means up to 50,000 rows, and these will be supported for inventory aging and inventory valuation summary. So these are basically just going to allow you to pull those out into like a CSV or Excel file and have many, many, many rows. Item ID codes for e-invoicing for Mexico. They have been busy. More VAT treatment over in the UK. VAT, of course, being value added tax. So basically, rather than just a sales tax, in a lot of Europe, there's like a tax applied at each transfer of value. Whereas in the US, it's really just at that final step. M-Pesa integration for the Kenya edition. And that is it. Wow, that was quite an update. I guess they saved up 5 months worth, so I shouldn't be surprised. But yeah, nice things here really across the board. The ones I'm most excited to see are really just the updates to shipping. I'd like to see them roll out a lot of updates there. I just think it could be a smoother and faster process. And if we could get to a place where less clients feel the need for external tools, that would, I think, make everybody happy. All right. Next one here is the social wall from Zoho Social. This is like a pseudo newsletter kind of monthly roundup that they've been doing, very cleverly named. So a couple updates here in the world of Zoho Social. So managing and responding to TikTok interactions from the inbox. Kind of one of the big benefits, at least that I see with Zoho Social, is having this like unified inbox of all the different like chat and communication tools across your social media platforms. We're trying to always do a better and better job of like engaging with comments, engaging with messages, right? And having a unified place to do it is just easier, right? Makes life easier when you're working across these different channels. Seeing a lot of growth to TikTok advertising. It's more and more popular, especially for like, obviously direct to consumer products. I wouldn't do like a Zenatta ad on TikTok. I don't know if that's where our target market really lives, but I do see more and more pickup for this. So nice to see that supported by social. This is a big one. I'll kind of let you tee this one up a little bit, or I'll tee it up for you. But you can now kind of round robin your interactions to team members to kind of encourage the assignment and actual response to those. So this is a cool one. I hadn't really ever thought about a need for this, but the minute I read it, I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, I would love to do that, right? Let's just round robin our comments and make sure that we get to them quicker. So yeah, I love to see this update.
Yeah, it's because so some people don't. It's like Zoho Social and Zoho Desk can actually be two very similar products, right? It's like just Desk is more on the service and support for your existing customers, and then Zoho Social is pretty much the same thing, but just on like the marketing side and dealing with like your leads and new people. So especially if you're just trying to get your business and your product off the ground, and and you're just like flooding TikTok and Instagram with ads so that you can get a bunch of people to hop on as soon as you can. You obviously send out a lot of ads, you're going to get a lot of leads, and so you'll probably have to have a whole team of people fielding all of these incoming messages and inquiries. Setting up a round robin makes everybody's life easier because it's just equally distributed. Nobody has to nobody has to say like, all right, well, who's going to take this one?
Yeah, who's going to respond to this?
Take it? Yep. Come on, somebody take it. I can't take all of them.
Yeah, take some of that out of it. And it is kind of nice. So you can essentially do either a direct assignment or a round robin. And you can round robin within a role, which is always what I like to see, kind of that next level of control, right? Because like you might have somebody who is just your visual graphic designer and they're not answering questions. So they shouldn't be randomly assigned a question that comes in or a message that comes in. So being able to assign that to a role is just always nice to see. I like that it launched with that. Sometimes you'll see this type of feature when Zoho launches it. It's like, oh, you can round robin, but you have to put everybody's name in there. And so like when new people come on board or, older people off board, you always have to come back and update the rule like every time. So role-based is great. Just lets you set it and forget it. Can now actually integrate a little tighter with Google My Business to promote products or services with even like sale discounts via the Google My Business profile. This is a big one. I mean, like I've been noticing for a while that Google My Business and Google Maps have really like eaten Yelp's lunch. Like I never use Yelp anymore. This is kind of the primary way that I look for local businesses, at least, is just via Google Maps. Like I'll look on Maps and look on Yelp and I'll see a bunch of businesses that aren't even on Yelp anymore, right? Or maybe never were, but they're all on Google My Business. So being able to just interact and integrate with this more tightly is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And just yesterday, our washing machine just decided to give up the ghost. It seemed just stopped in the middle of a cycle, wouldn't run, and went to Google washer repair persons in my area, and just trusting on that Google, and had a couple of Google verified like handymen, kind of a thing. And so it's just and I won't lie, it did make me feel better about Google saying like, yeah, we trust them. So it is kind of just giving into Big Brother a little bit, but the problem though is Yelp.
I won't go down the rabbit hole. I used to be a part of a business that had a local presence, and the way that Yelp does advertising, they were always gonna die because they would charge you per impression, not per click. Right. So anybody who just saw your ad, you'd be paying for. They didn't have a per click model for advertising, which is it's not the right way. That's not how you want to do digital ads at all. So they kind of dug their own grave on that one, and Google capitalized. Last note here, this is something new that they're doing, or semi-new that they're doing, that I do really appreciate, are these social sessions. So these are essentially, they're almost like little mini, I wouldn't say like a TED Talk, but just these little talks where they're bringing in people who have just been in the social media or tech space for a long time to come in and talk about topics that are relevant for people that are in the social media marketing environment. Right. So they've got an AI expert coming in. They've had a, Facebook marketing expert, kind of a, customer experience master, all these different types of people coming in and just talking about what they do and what their knowledge is in the context of social media marketing. So really love that. I think more applications should do things like that. I'd love to see like some sales experts come in and talk in the context of CRM, PMs for projects. I'd like to see more teams do that. And big shout out to Zoho Social for getting those scheduled and out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Last one here, this is kind of just a minor update PSA. So this is in the context of Zoho Recruit. This is not something Recruit did. This is something that Zoho Indeed did that we're going to have to adapt to. So Indeed is no longer going to allow for what's called organic job posting for staffing agencies, specifically staffing agencies here. Basically, all that an organic job posting means is one that you're not paying for. So what Indeed is saying is, we want to extract money from staffing agencies. So you now are going to need to pay for those Zoho or the Indeed posts. So really what this means is that you'll just have to pay for those going forward. They call those the sponsored job boards. Zoho is being very intentional to note here that this does not affect like the corporate HR version. So if you're just using Recruit to hire for your company, like the way that we use Recruit, you're going to be fine. This has no effect on you. But for staffing agencies, they will now need to pony up if they want to post jobs over to Indeed. So of course, that's going to affect the integration here.
Got it. Yeah,
kind of a shame. I know that LinkedIn did this a while back, and they've been kind of phasing out some of the ability to do free postings. Makes sense. It's how they make their money, right? They don't make money from the employees; they make money from the employers. So they got to tighten things up and actually try to become profitable. So can't hate on them too much for it, but we'll miss it anyways.
Indeed. Ha!
Look at that. And with that, let us jump right on over to the implementation of the week. All right, so implementation of the week this week is all centered around asset tracking in CRM, Desk, and FSM. This is a pretty common request, right, where a user or a client may sell particular assets to a client in CRM. This could be like in the context of, IT managed services. We're going to deploy these routers on site for you. This could be like a solar company installing panels, right? Like anybody who is essentially selling an asset that's going to go into a location, and then we might need to like service or update that asset in the future. So the goal here was essentially to provide them a way to track tickets and work orders against assets across all the applications. The tricky thing is that like if you look at Desk, it doesn't natively have an asset module, kind of same with CRM. So we did have to create custom modules there to kind of capture this. Important delineation here is kind of the difference between a product and an asset, right? That product is like the baseline list of all different things that can be sold based on the SKU. The asset is like each instance of that product once it's been sold to a client, and it has like a serial number, a device ID, right? Like it's that one iPad, not like the bulk of iPads that we can sell. FSM, on the other hand, does have an asset module by default. It's kind of geared for this out of the gate. So once we've set up the data structure inside of Desk and CRM, we'll essentially put up a function in the CRM where once they sell and configure the asset there, the data will be pushed over to Zoho Desk and FSM so that the asset exists in both those applications as well. Once we create those assets, we do like to bring those IDs, kind of like the system IDs, back to CRM. We always want that to be the home base where we know that we'll be able to reach over and touch either of those other applications easily. And what this really means is that now when a ticket comes in Desk, they can link it to an asset. And when they're going to do their like work order scheduling, those assets will already be there on the FSM side. So that you just have that holistic usage across the environment of any of the assets that you've sold and deployed to customer locations. This was built out by George and Eddie on the team, a really nice one to see. We're doing a lot more and more work with FSM. I felt like when the app came out, I expected to get like an influx of like, oh, everybody wants this. But it's taken a little while. And now I'm starting to see more and more where people are kind of seeing, hey, maybe this is going to work for me. It's not like the most robust FSM tool in the world, but when you integrate it with CRM, Desk, some of these other applications, you get any of those additional features that it may not have baked right into kind of your environment as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and lucky for our client that Zoho Desk has custom modules. That was only introduced
just recently.
What, like last like 4 months or something?
Yeah,
maybe like
just
6
in the
months.
last couple months. No, it was this year. It was definitely this year. Yeah. So yeah, within the last few. So big shout out to George and Eddie. I know the client's going to be happy with this one. It should make their life a lot easier. So with that, let us jump right on over to the code share of the week. All right, I really like this one, but I'll tee you up, Greg. Want to walk us through what our code share is here for the week?
Absolutely. So this code share comes from Renato, one of our great developers. This is for specifically Zoho Invoice and how to make sure that ACH payment checkbox gets checked. So if you don't know, for any particular customer, every customer record in Zoho Invoice, there's checkboxes to say whether or not you want to allow them to pay via credit card or pay via ACH. And so what Renato has set up here is kind of a coordination between CRM and analytics to automatically check those boxes instead of somebody having to go in and manually do it whenever a customer gets added. So for this, he's talking about using a SQL query inside of analytics to essentially get a list of all of your Zoho Invoice customers where that bank account payment checkbox is not checked, right? So use analytics to get a list of everybody who doesn't have that checkbox checked. Then use a CRM scheduled function to pull from that list and run a bulk update, right? So that way you can, you don't have to like try to keep track of which people you've updated and which people you haven't. Because unfortunately, Zoho Invoice doesn't have a good kind of search API the way that we do with, say, the CRM or other applications. But so essentially you create this list of everybody who needs to have that box checked. You have a schedule that every 2 hours it'll grab a chunk, check the box for all of them, go back to that list 2 hours later, grab the next chunk, run through it again. Eventually every box will be checked. And if you just kind of leave that on, as new customers come in, they'll automatically also have that box checked because they'll automatically show up in that query table and analytics down the line.
Yeah. And astute viewers may be thinking, well, why wouldn't you just do this with a workflow, right? When a customer account is created, surely you could write a workflow that would check the box. And that would work if your customers are created in books first. What we see 9 times out of 10 is that a customer is created in CRM and then synced over to Zoho Books. And so the issue there is that the creation via the sync does not trigger workflows. So like if you're just a books user, you can skip a lot of this and basically just go right down to the bottom and copy the bit that does the update, right? Like just get the ID and do the update here. So you'll still be able to use this code if you know that every account's going to be created in books first. But it's just a lot of the times what we've seen is that that's not the case. So we end up doing it with this scheduled function. It is one nice thing. You can sign my petition. I really do wish that you could just have this on by default, the pay via bank account. Like if you've set up your Stripe with Plaid and you're accepting ACH payments, you'd really prefer your customers to pay that way, right? It's much cheaper for you than paying the credit card transaction fees. So like, I would love to just have it on by default. Like I don't want to force them to pay me in a way that I receive less of it if it's up to me. So hopefully eventually this won't be needed at all. But in the meantime, this is a simple and easy way to get it done.
Absolutely. So next another shout out to Renato for that code share. Oh, just again, saying Renato, great job.
He has been putting out a lot of these lately, so always appreciate that.
Yeah.
Next thing here, we actually do have a couple announcements. Back in the day, we removed the announcements from the front and kind of moved it to the back. And then since then, we haven't had any, which was kind of validating as to why we got rid of it. So first announcement here is actually a big one. We have finished our marketing team training program, or finished version 1, I should say, over on the website. So as you know, we have a couple kind of full service training packages here that you can purchase one time, use them forever with however many users you would like. This has been one that people have been asking for a while, so we have got it stood up for you here. Big shout out to Wayne, our director of marketing. This course is going to be focusing on Zoho campaigns. Soon to follow will be a couple other applications like Survey, Sales IQ, potentially PageSense. So this will walk you through basically everything you need to know to get up and running inside of the marketing tools in just a couple days. This is one of those applications where really a lot of the times when a client comes in and needs help with it, it's really from a training perspective, right? Like we want to enable the marketing team to like set up a drip series or a sequence without us having to build it, right? So a lot of times like we build the first one and then they kind of go from there. But this will be a really quick and cost-effective way to just get right up to speed in the application and get going across the marketing environment for Zoho. So again, big shout out to Wayne for putting this together. These courses are quite a bit of work to plan and record, but he's done just a phenomenal job on this across the board. So go ahead and check it out. We are doing a pre-sale right now, so you get like $1,000 off. They normally retail for $1,500. You'll be able to pick it up for just $500. So if this is something you may need, probably the best time to get it is now. So definitely consider that if you're feeling like you're struggling a bit with trading up the team on the marketing suite.
Yep.
Another announcement here, and I'll kind of defer to you on this one, Greg, but we did run our creator competition, and I think we've got a winner. So take us away.
Yes, absolutely. For anyone who wasn't aware, over the last couple of weeks, we were accepting submissions for a creator coding contest, asking people to create kind of Wordle-inspired games built inside of Zoho Creator, and then submitting those games to us. We took a look at them over while we were at Zoholics, and we have indeed selected our first place champion. And the winner is Naveen G from Madrasoft. He built a Wordle game, very similar to the existing New York Times one, but it runs
shockingly similar.
Yes,
it was very good. Like the design, the look and feel, it was dead on. To the proper
he's
Wordle
got
game.
Those smooth animations and a nice interactive keyboard. It just ran really well. I will say that I do want to shout out one more honorable mention, which is there was a game that was guessing a dog breed. And interestingly enough, it was still very much the Wordle style, where they were explicitly using dog breeds that were 5 letters long.
Very nice.
So very, very niche game. So really liked that one. Naveen, he killed it. So congratulations to you, Naveen. We will be sending you a gift card to the Zenatta store, so you can become your own Johnny Zenatta with all the swag you could ever dream of. Really cool. Really happy to see people interacting, seeing people's submissions and coding capabilities. It was a great time, and I think we're definitely going to do more in the future.
Absolutely. And with that, again, big shout out to Naveen. Let's jump into the last announcement here. So this one we've been working on for quite a while that is now live. This is a Google Address AutoComplete plugin for Zoho CRM. This is one that we get asked a lot about which plugins are good, which ones we should use. So we decided, hey, let's start building some of our own for some of these really commonly needed tools. So this is basically a Google Address plugin here. Greg, you want to kind of walk us through this? I know this is your brainchild here. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Well, even if it's my brainchild, then Eddie is my doula, who helped me get this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie.
Yes, our developer Eddie, who was featured in the implementation this week. He really helped bring this thing together really well. Basically, what it does is it installs a search functionality on your core modules. So on the accounts, leads, contacts, and deals, that you click on the button, or in the case of the accounts, there's actually a business card view that shows up directly on your accounts page. You can start to type in an address, and it uses Google Maps APIs to give you a bunch of autocomplete options, so you can make sure that you're picking like a validated address. Click on it. It'll fill in some fields there. You'll see a map version of it, for double verification there. And then you can click just an update CRM record button that will update the address fields with that address. There's also options to copy from billing to shipping, or shipping to billing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And in the case of the deals module doesn't have system address fields. So the button on the deals module will actually look up to the related account and contact
nice. Like
address fields. Yeah.
So you have to like
you can
copy
manage
those
that.
addresses to the deal. Like it's kind of an unnecessary step. So you can just reference them from here and then use them however you need them.
Yep.
Awesome.
But yeah,
so this is an application where you will need to bring your own Google API key. Luckily, Greg has recorded a video walkthrough of exactly how to generate and add that to the plugin and get it all spun up in your accounts. I think, what are we doing on the pricing here, Greg? We got some type of free trial, and then it's like $10 a month or something in that regard.
Yep. And so we have the Google API key as a separate option there. So that way you guys are only paying for the APIs that you need, right?
Yeah.
So that we're not charging you extra to manage APIs, because some people use a lot, some people won't use very many. We like to give you that flexibility.
Awesome. Yeah, big shout out to the team. I know there's been a long work in progress to get this thing up and running, including some back and forth around the thumbnails and banner images. So awesome to see this thing live. We're probably going to end up making some videos on just how to exactly use this and get those up as well for everybody to enjoy. But well worth taking a look at if you need some address verification or even just that autocomplete, because it just saves a lot of time when it can search ahead and just give you that exact address. And it's going to be right because it's coming from Google Maps.
Yep.
So with that, let us jump right on over to what's new on Zenatta.com. All right, so we do have a blog here. So last week, of course, was Zoholics out in Austin. Austin, of course, being a beautiful city that was 95 degrees and 90% humidity the whole time we were there. That was brutal for me. Talking to some of the team, it was awesome to meet, some of the team over from India, and they're like, "What are you talking about? It's beautiful outside." It's like, okay, we live in different worlds. I live in a dry, cold climate, so this is the opposite of what I'm used to. But so we did a quick write-up here on kind of the 3 days, Inspire being the partner day up front. Shameless self-plug, we did win a couple awards. We got Partner of the Year and Content Excellence. Thank you again to Zoho for kind of featuring us in that way. Got to meet up with a ton of awesome people on the Zoho side. Then on days 2 and 3 was kind of Zoholics proper. Now we got all the users and all the other partners kind of there and engaging. I know you guys kind of had fun recording that CRM Zen Show. We got a picture here with a lot of great clients. I mean, just an awesome event altogether. I think Zoho did a great job putting this on.
Yeah, and also shout out to John, our head of finance services, who was invited to participate in an experts panel. Awesome. I had lots of people coming up to our booth afterwards, saying like, "Oh my gosh, your guy John, he's so great. He knows it all. He knows everything." And we're like, "Yeah, that's why he's here." Yeah. And also a little personal, little bit of bragging. I did manage to get the high score on Zoho's VR game that they had in there. So I didn't beat the world high score, because that is held by Wayne, by our own Wayne and Zenatta, who participated in the Zoholics in Europe. So he did score a little bit higher than me, but I have the top stateside score. So I'll take that.
You love to see it. Yeah, I love that we got 1 and 2 with you and Josh, and then 3 was Dylan from CTX Home Gyms, which is a client. So, we're just taking all 3 on that one. A couple announcements we did want to highlight. Obviously, there were a ton. We couldn't fit all the product announcements in here, but they are going to support a real-time sync between Zoho CRM and Zoho Analytics within the next 3 to 6 months. That is just an absolute game changer. I can't wait for that. They're also going to be rolling out bin locations for Zoho inventory. This is something that you could technically kind of do with the custom field, but it wasn't really proper bin management where when you actually pull it out, you're picking from a bin. So they're going to get full support there for bins. I think it may be in beta right now, but early access for clients should be coming before too long. And then the big one, CRM for everyone and the new UI. This is a big change. I'm going to do a full video walkthrough of this within the next week or two. It's a big organizational change to how the CRM is going to look and feel. Gives a lot more flexibility, though, and kind of allows you to show some data hierarchy in new ways. But overall, just a great trip. Got to meet a lot of great clients, well worth going. And definitely something, if you are a fellow Zoho nerd, maybe mark the calendar for next year. It's an awesome event. Everyone just gets in a big room and talks about Zoho. So it's a good place to be if this is something that you're passionate about.
Yeah. And we don't know exactly where it's going to be next year. So we will,
it won't be awesome.
We will keep you all up to date as soon as we find out. So keep hanging out with us.
Awesome. And last but not least here for the show, let us go ahead and go over our tip of the week. All right, so this is one that I actually made in response to a call that I had a couple weeks ago with a prospect who is, he was telling me that he couldn't figure out how to do this, is just deduplicating data inside a CRM, and he wasn't getting guidance from support on where to go. So I was going to record him just a quick little Loom video, but then I realized that we never made a video on deduplication in CRM. It's pretty straightforward if you know how to do it. If you already know deduplication, you're probably not going to learn anything new in this video. This is kind of just for the people who maybe haven't done this before. But I do go through the kind of two different ways that it can go down, right? Like the auto merge where everything is the same and it just puts them together, versus the less automated merge where maybe you have some different data, maybe a different company name, a different address on file, and you're going to have to go through and do that reconciliation of the data. So well worth watching if you don't know how to do this already. This is one of those things, and I highlight it a couple times in the video. Don't let this get away from you, because if you're doing this regularly, you got no problem, right? Things are going to auto merge. They go into the queue. Oh, I've got 10 records that I need to review real quick and pick the data. The problem comes in is if you're ignoring this for a long time, right? Now you might have hundreds of leads that need to be manually reconciled. And that just becomes a bit of a painful exercise. So if you're not regularly doing this, you probably should be. A good way to know if you ever need to do this is to maybe consider checking out our Help Check plugin over on the marketplace. That's going to let you know if you have duplicates on a regular basis. Then you can just jump in, knock this out real quick, and never let it get to a place where it's very painful to clean it up. Because as you know, Greg, like we have in the past written some scripts that can kind of do this in the background automatically. If you have a lot of custom data, custom fields, related lists, that script can get pretty big to actually do it properly and like reconcile all the related information. So again, just do this early and often, make it your weekly routine, knock it out on Friday morning, whatever it may be, because it's not something that you want to ignore. It's only going to get worse, and it's only going to take longer to fix if you don't clean it up regularly.
Yep. Don't let your CRM become an episode of Hoarders, where they walk in there and it's just like piles of everything. You can't even see the floor anymore. Yeah. Make sure that you do this on a regular basis and your life will be a lot easier. But I think that is it here for the show today. Thanks again for joining, Greg. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. We should have Brett back next week, back to our kind of regular format here. But again, thanks everybody for watching. Always a pleasure to have you here on the CRM Zen Show. If you want to get in touch with myself, Greg, Brett, anybody on the Zenatta team, just head over to zenatta.com and click on Book a Meeting. It's also where you're going to find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories that we discussed today. Oh, sorry. I was still thinking about gross tons.
10 gross.
10 gross. Still thinking about, 10 gross and why it's 1,440. But of course, you can also head over to club.zenatta.com to check out the code share that we talked about today, as well as keeping up to date with all of our news and events. And we already mentioned the team training. We have a number of good courses that will get your team trained up in less than a week. And of course, we always appreciate when you like and subscribe here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We'll see you next Friday. 10 gross. 10 gross.
1440. So is 144 1 gross?
I guess, yeah.
It's got to be.
Gross.